Arnie, the following audio may contain coarse language and other materials that may not be suitable for younger audience. The opinions expressed in this audio are solely those of the speakers involved. These conversations may contain spoilers for current media such as games, comics, movies, television shows, and more. Chronic Geeks makes no claim to ownership of the various media discussed, simply the opinions expressed. Listener discretion is advised.
Make sure that we don't have just continuous music in the background today. Go ahead and turn that loop off. Man, so I was actually off today, and it was like, yeah, Wednesday, we're doing our show tonight. And I was like, I don't know what we're going to talk about. I don't know what to talk about. I mean, there's a lot of stuff just like in the news, but what is like worthy of a show? What needs to get its own show? We got the return of, you know what? That's pretty cool. I got the Jeffs are on. So tonight's show is going to be the Jeffs. A couple weeks ago, I had the Davids on, and now I got the Jeffs on.
Well, I'm just dropping by to say hello. I know I haven't been on in a while, but I actually had tonight off for once. So I was like, you know what? Let me drop in, at least say hey to you guys. See what's been up, that kind of thing.
Hey, I'm with it, brother. I'm with it. So glad everything's been going well for you. Got you an off day for a change. Tonight's show, honestly, I really don't know what we're going to do. But let's go ahead and just hop right in. Welcome. What's going on, geeks? It is Wednesday. We are Grown A Geeks. This is Weigh In Wednesday. You are awesome for being here. Joining me today, and so far, as always, we got the man JPNT17, Jeffrey Taylor. What's up, Jeff? What's going on with you, man?
What's up, guys?
I got him. He's working, but you know what? He's been pushing me to get on to Bridgerton, and it was like you would. I mean, he was very simple. He was like, "You will like this. Like, you should watch this. Check it out." And I was like, Bridgerton? I don't know. That don't seem like the kind of thing. I watched like one episode on accident, watched the whole season. I was like, oh yeah, next episode. What's happening? Got to know. And it's funny. We'll get into that in a little bit. But it's funny, the one that I watched and how we're deciding now we're gonna watch the show. Special guest tonight, Jeff Miller. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Just finally got a break from work. Just been catching up on shows, Titans, stuff like that.
Okay. Where are you on Titans right now?
The last season, right at the beginning. So, okay. And then I've been, my girl Erica, we've been rewatching. She hadn't seen the Justice League 4-hour version. She loved it. That's that kind of stuff. Increasing her geek education. She's a good geek though.
Okay. So I know she's had some pretty good picks of like her selection in geek merchandise has been spot on. So
you don't even know. Hold on. Superman. How I change.
Yeah, today has actually been a marvelous day. I've got on my Deadpool hat and my Spider-Man shirt. It was coordinated up.
She got me.
Let's go. The lenticutter, you tilt it.
Yeah, you tilt it and it goes from Clark to Superman.
Oh, that's kind of dope.
So yeah, that's how I knew she was the one when she got that for me for my birthday. I was like, all right.
Okay, so, you get to stick around for a little bit.
So, how's things been with y'all?
Good, man. I'm actually I'm just now getting to a point since they finished up the season of Titans. I'm trying to get to those last episodes. I have to watch the last season of Doom Patrol.
So do I, but I'm right at the end. I'm on like first episode,
and I am getting ready to watch. It's a new DC animated. Uh, that's a great cover. Everybody should have a marvelous day. That is, yes. And see, that was my plan. Where today was a marvelous day. I'm wearing Spider-Man. I got on my Deadpool hat. I've actually got on the Deadpool belt buckle also, but it is what it is. What's going on, Teresa? How you doing? But yeah, I need to check out the Legion of Superheroes. They have a new animated movie on Max.
the Supergirl one.
Yeah, the one it kind of features on Supergirl and the League, the Justice League, basically like in the future. So they got like Brainiac 5 and that sort of stuff. So that one I want to check out.
That's new.
Yeah, it's actually a new animated movie, and since it's post, since it technically would take place after Apocalypse War, I don't know if it's in like the new timeline, so to speak, with like the Super Sons. And so I'm thinking like the timeline of the Super Sons is technically a different timeline than where Apocalypse War would have ended. And if you watched Apocalypse War, like right at the end of that, he's like, Flash, you know what you have to do. And so I don't know, but that's one of those things like we could sit and debate and break it all down and see how that all fits together on another day.
Yeah, because I need to go back and I never watched the movies like in order, so I never really think about the movies as being connected. But
the animated movies, there's an actual story that takes place, and you can go from beginning to end, starting from Flashpoint, and I want to say it's like Justice League War, Flashpoint, Doom. Actually, Atlantis might be the second one, and then you get to like Doom. They've got Justice League Dark, and then like Apocalypse War and stuff like. So I mean, there's like a certain set of.
I've seen Justice League Dark. That was good, and the animated Constantine one was good too.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was an order to them though. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, there's a direct story that's told, and some of the people kind of like there's certain parts of it that carry over from one to the other. Constantine and Zatanna, like their interaction, you keep up with all of that as it goes through, and even the introduction to Constantine. And the best way would probably just like if you look at the release dates, that'll kind of tell you the order that they're supposed to go in. But yeah, the Legion of Superheroes is the newest one on HBO Max, and it's available on streaming there.
I did pause on that while we were flipping through like which DC movie we were going to watch, and I was like, ooh. And Erica was like, no, I don't feel like watching something animated. And I was like, but in my head, I was like, check mark. I have to come back to this one.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, if you haven't watched it, the Jon Stewart Green Lantern, watch that one.
I watched that.
Okay.
That was a really good Green Lantern movie, and that works well. Actually, I've gone through like all the DC animated stuff. Like I rewatched Fixin' because it was there. And so it's like,
look, you know how I feel about Jon Stewart. If they would just stop, they just get over themselves and just realize that like he's a better Green Lantern for movies and storytelling in a group setting than Hal Jordan and
absolutely
anybody else. Like, just start there. That's who we know. That's who we love. Like, stop trying to make, like what she said, Mean Girl. Stop trying to make fetch happen. Stop trying to make Hal Jordan happen.
Right. I mean, it's. I think it's obvious that Hal Jordan is the staple, but as far as the storytelling aspect, Jon Stewart
he's just
is
the
better
first
choice. Well,
he's just the first,
yeah,
and that's the issue.
But see, even then, he's not even like he's the most familiar. But as time goes on, he's becoming less and less familiar, and more people are, because like you take Justice League, the Justice League animated show and Justice League Unlimited, it was all about Jon Stewart. And so you probably have a whole I can't say a whole generation, but you have a large number of people who are more familiar.
No, a generation. It's a generation.
I think it crosses more though. I think it would be a larger number than just a generation.
Oh,
because
yeah, I agree.
You have people
I agree with that.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I can't just say like you have just a generation of people, because I don't really think people are going back and be like, well, not my Lantern. I don't think that's happening. Like, everybody can get on board with Jon Stewart. You know what I'm saying? You may not have as many people that can get on board with Hal Jordan, and the powers that be, like, they don't want to make that change, but I think the people are up for it. And and there's a very good selection. Like, he is perfect time to get the ball rolling with Jon Stewart, whether it be live action. It needs to be live action. I think it needs to get the same attention that everything else is getting. Animated is great, and I would love to have like good voice work and all that kind of stuff. And it gives people work, but no, I want a live action Jon Stewart Green Lantern movie. And I don't want it to be like what we're hearing, like the TV show. It's going to be like lanterns or something, and so it's going to be more than one. And I'm like, I just can't let him get to shine. That's you're going to do a buddy cop show, have him paired up with Guy Gardner or something. And all I can think is like, that didn't work out well when we tried to do the Lethal Weapon TV show. Why would you go that route with the Green Lantern show?
The Lethal Weapon TV show was good. It was just the dude went crazy, and then Damon Wayans was like, "This isn't worth it."
I'm out. Yeah, I mean, the show was good. I agree, the show was good, but I think you're going to have a similar situation, because you have a character that has to portray a certain person in Guy Gardner. So it's like, you got to get somebody that is punchable. Like, he has to be the kind of person that you want to punch in the face, and having that kind of energy regularly, it's bound to roll, spill over.
Yeah, you're not that good of an actor. Like, some of this is just you.
Right. I think part of it's going to be that. So Jeff, what are the other things you've been watching? You've been getting caught up on this and that on Max. What else?
Well, I watched Avatar: Way of the Water. Watched Ant-Man and Quantumania. I actually really enjoyed that one.
Okay.
So that kind of stuff. So cool. We haven't really started any. I think I got her to watch the first season of Shadow and Bone, and we're about to start the second season. I pretty much, when she comes over fairly regularly, I just let her pick. So, but she's 9 times out of 10, she's picking something Marvel, DC, fantasy, sci-fi.
All the right genres. Okay.
Yep, exactly.
I mean, honestly, as long as if it's just a cinephile, anybody who's just like a fan of movies, kind of works for me. It's better if you have like themed movies and you like really break down into the genres. But if you just enjoy the cinema, if you just enjoy watching movies, that works for me.
Yeah. Trying to think of what else we've been watching lately. I've mostly been playing Final Fantasy, the collection. I bought that, and I've been stuck in nostalgia land. Okay, if she's not here, I'm playing 2, I'm playing 4, I'm playing 6, and they've changed. Like, they've updated the visuals, and they've even changed. Like, I get stuck somewhere, and I look up how to a walkthrough on IGN or something like that. It's actually changed from the old game. Like, they've updated. Like, I'm playing 6 right now. They updated Staven's blitzes, because it told me on the walkthrough that you gain such and such at level 14 and all that. I'm like level 28. I still ain't got another one. So
wow.
So they've extended it. It's got fog and smoke and fire effects that weren't there before. The pixel remasters are worth picking up. The bundle is nice. And then I got Hogwarts Legacy too, and Dreamlight Valley. And I'll say Dreamlight Valley was good for like the first 20 hours. But
Dreamlight Valley, what's that one about?
It's a Disney town sim, like all the Disney.
Okay.
and you have to go into their world, and like you go into Ratatouille's world, and he has you cook for him, and then he comes to your village, and you build him a house. I bought it to play with Harley, Erica's youngest.
So
I
like
was like,
Harvest Moon Disney theme.
yeah, Starlight Valley. I mean, it was one of those. I was like, I'm just going to try it out, so I at least know. And then I couldn't put it down. But now, it got repetitive after about 25 hours.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
my brother, on the other hand,
I tried it out for about 30 hours. It's pretty repetitive. It took you 30 hours to determine it was repetitive. That was a pretty good game.
Well,
but I do understand when you play games like that, especially like those. Once upon a time, we used to call them the God games. Any type of like simulation like that, where you're this entity controlling all these little things, these townships. Whenever we would play those, like you get to a point where like, and it's surprising that you hit it in 30 hours. So I get exactly what you're saying, because you can play like Sims 4 for like 100 hours before it feels repetitive, because there's so much that you have to do that's different. But if you hit that repetitive cap at 25 hours, then yeah, you've kind of maxed out everything.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna sit there and play it with Harley, and maybe she'll probably enjoy it more than I will. I'll sit there and help her out. But it just you do the same thing over and over and over and over. You can tell it's definitely aimed towards the younger crowd. I was hoping for more to expand as I got. I don't know. I might go back to it. Like I said, the Final Fantasy remaster came out, and I was like, oh. So, and then Hogwarts Legacy finally hit PS4. So I was like, all right, that's pretty good though. I'm enjoying that.
Hogwarts Legacy. I've heard nothing bad about that game, and now that like all the uproar and major controversy is passed, I just like everybody seems to be enjoying it, and it was like
it's got a good gameplay loop.
And
then it has the iconic scenes of going to Hogwarts, and they did a pretty good job.
It's cool. I mean, I think it's amazing for people who are fans of Harry Potter and gamers as well to be able to play something that is as immersive. I remember when I first played like DC Online, being able to create my own hero and have an archetype and just kind of immerse and be in that world. So it's like
Superman.
I promise you. And look, it had a red and green. Look, it had a red and green color scheme with a yellow cape. Believe that. And I mean, they really give you a lot of customization options and things like that. And then, of course, it's pretty dope that you have storylines where you get to interact and you might go and help out this character, or you're doing a mission and so stops in, or you go to the Hall of Justice and you're at the headquarters and you look over and it's like, oh, is that Green Arrow over there like having a coffee with Black Canary? Okay, cool. And I mean, just having that type of stuff in the background, it did help it feel a little bit more immersive, like you were actually a part of that universe. So I thought that was pretty cool. And,
I enjoyed the new Marvel game too, though. That was good. I had minor issues here and there, but with the patches and that kind of stuff, it was fun to play it for a little bit.
And I think that one was most fun to play with friends. You talking about the Avengers game?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that one. That one was fun to play with friends. Now you talk about repetitive. After you go through that initial story,
right?
And that was actually probably the best thing about that. It was kind of a live action comic book. Getting to go through, play as Kamala, and then as you pick up each character, playing through their individual story to help advance the overall story. Captain America being locked out in space kind of thing. Like, what? This is okay. I mean, it is as fantastic as a comic book could be. And you're sitting there playing it. Tony Stark is a hermit living out of a camper somewhere. I mean, it had its moments in the gameplay, but overall it was fun that first playthrough. But as you go through and you try to like level up each character and unlock skins and do this and do that, that's where the repetitiveness really came in and really kind of like bogged the game down. And despite them saying like, "Oh, we're going to do this and release that and have these characters and that character," it was too far and few between as the characters were being released. And
Yeah, it didn't have a very good release schedule. So,
well, I mean, having Hawkeye as one of your release characters, and then Hawkeye as one of your release characters, Kate Bishop is the same as Hawkeye. She has the same
yeah.
move set, a couple of different arrows, but it's the exact same move set. So they really kind of felt limited in the variety. When they finally introduced Spider-Man, it was like too little, too late. It wasn't enough to save the game and have people interested in it. And at that point, you've lost the fan base. And so, yeah, that is absolutely correct. They did try to monetize the game more. And I think honestly, the general gameplay was okay. Like the controls were decent. The puzzles were difficult enough without being like, I don't want to play this. But it really came down to you had to have 4 people playing. And then when it was just like, oh, here's 35 different costumes you could have for this character. Okay, slow down. And then it just like kept being a push to like unlock this and unlock that, buy this, buy that.
A lot of the costumes that were just color swaps. There was a good 3 or 4 in there. It was the same costume, but in different colors,
different versions. And but the thing is, they have to be smart and try to go about it the same way Destiny did. It's going to change your stats regardless. Like even though it's the same costume, maybe this one has a strength of 4 instead of a strength of 3, and durability or whatever stats. I don't even remember all the different stats, but it was like it would move the little stat icon in different directions depending on which one you put on, and it was like that was monetizing is always bad, but sometimes it's justified. I don't want to sit here and be like, all games should have everything for free. Not at all what I'm saying. There's a way to have loot boxes and give people the option pay to play. I don't get into that discussion, but it needs to be based around solid game. Period. It has to be on a solid game. And if the game is weak, you're not going to fix it by adding loot. That's right. Not going to be the thing that's going to like save your game. They look like cosplayers. Yeah. So, okay, to that point, what do the characters in Hogwarts look like? Are they, because the difference here, like you get to customize and make your own character in Hogwarts Legacy, right?
Yeah. So and then you get to choose like what color tie you want or colored shirt, that kind of stuff. And then eventually like you go to class, you ride around on a broom, you learn spells, you have the room requirement. Like it's hitting all the right notes so far. I'm only a couple hours in on that one. That just released at the beginning of May. So
you see, so I would think that like with probably the downside to Avengers is that you're playing through a very specific storyline. So while it has RPG elements, it is not an RPG because you are playing characters that exist and playing through a very specific. There's limited customization. You can, like I said, you can choose which costume Captain America's wearing. You can choose which armor set Iron Man's wearing, but you can't like create a character. You're gonna pick one of these existing characters, whether it be black.
You get to make a character and all that. You just don't have. You have to wear the black Hogwarts robes.
Uh-huh.
It's one of those like you pretty much the face and the tie is what you get to customize. The one complaint I've heard about it from my friend who has it that has gotten really far in it is you can get overpowered really quickly. Like it's fun to it hits all those notes and going around and doing all that, but if you know what you're doing and pick the right spells and do certain things with the room requirement, you can be planting stuff, making potions, doing all that to where it's ridiculous. You get really powerful really quickly. So I don't know about the challenge level. I haven't gotten that far yet, though.
It's always interesting when when you can kind of go in and break games like that.
Yeah.
Because there's, like there were people that were playing Elden Ring and they were kind of just like XP farming in certain areas with like the mages, the wizards and whatnot. And since they kind of sit back and they cast spells, you get a powerful enough character who's casting spells and staying out of the range of fire. You kind of cheese through the game. Yeah, it's like you kind of cheese through the game. So I could see how that in Hogwarts, it could be a bad thing, but that seems like the kind of game where it would be okay to be a little OP. It'd be fun.
Have you been playing anything lately?
The last thing that I played was the season 2 on Call of Duty. I played a little bit of Wulong when it dropped on Game Pass. That had very impressive character customization, right down to like they even got the hair right. So I was able to make a black samurai with dreads that didn't look ridiculous.
Okay.
Even better than like the cyberpunk hairstyles. And cyberpunk had a lot of really good like character creation models.
I picked that up. I haven't played it yet, though.
Oh yeah, Cyberpunk is so immersive. That is without a doubt. That is definitely one of my favorite games. That's an RPG that I've actually played through twice.
Okay.
And with as much story as is available, like the first time, because there's 3 different classes that you can pick, and with the 3 different, not classes, but like there's 3 backstories you can choose. You can choose like Street Kid, Corpo, or the Nomads. And depending on which backstory you select, that plays into the version of the game that you end up getting. I'm air quoting the word version. It's like you're doing what?
How they treat you, how they respond to you.
Right.
I played the RPG, so I know the difference of Street Kid, Corpo, and
yeah. I mean, it's little things like when you're a Street Kid, you have different conversation options. When you're a Corpo, you have different conversation options. When you're a Nomad, you may have different weapons and vehicles available and things like that. Yeah, Diablo 4. I'm actually looking forward to getting into Diablo 4 when
I don't know. I lost 2 years of my life to Diablo 3. I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. I've got too much going on to.
Yeah. Well, see the trick there. Well, the trick there is you just get Erica playing. You get her playing Diablo, and then boom. You see.
She's not a gamer. She's a geek, but I got her daughter. I'd sit there and play different games with her daughter. Like I've started her. We played Flower, and then we sit there and play Beat Star and stuff like that. So yeah, I have a feeling I'm going to end up co-gaming with her daughter more than I will Erica.
Right. See, I would agree with that. She just has to try the right game. Nobody's a gamer until they play something that they can't put down.
Well, now I did buy. I know this is a little weak, but I bought the Game of Life 2.
What's up, Diz? Diz, Jake in the house. What's going on? Shout out to Diz.
So
you saw what?
You remember the board game Life?
Oh yeah. You got to spin the big thing in the middle.
Yeah. They have a video game version called the Game of Life 2. And so I'm sneakily being like, hey, let's play that. Hey, let's play that. Oh, this is what button does this and this. And then I'm going to be like, all right, let's play Diablo 4.
Teresa, you're not a game. Let me see. You know what? I think you would do well with some of the story-based games, something like Catherine. I would put you in Catherine or
we actually got a game
LA
called
Noir. LA Noir.
Yeah, LA Noir was great. Go ahead.
I think Teresa, if for people who are like not a gamer, I try to think about some of the different things that they do like what do they enjoy, and it's like if you like watching movies, you like mysteries or things like that. And I know Teresa was on and she was saying we were talking about some of the different TV shows and all the the initial shows like Law and Order, SVU, that like all of that, and you're not buying a system. I can getting you a system is easy. Like, don't let that be the hold up. I got 3 Xboxes sitting around the house collecting dust. Getting a system is very easy. Don't let that be the hold up. Teresa says she's not buying a system.
So Teresa, there's a game called Erica. And you remember the old cinematic Sega Saturn or Sega CD where it's literally like it's a movie and you make a choice at a certain time?
Dragon Lair.
Well, this is live action, more like Daedalus Effect that had Tia Carrere.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
But Erica, you play from your phone. You literally just it tells you if you want to do this, swipe up. You just have to connect your phone. So.
Okay, that sounds pretty dope. See, a team building game like League of Legends. You know what? But the funny thing about like gaming is even something as simple as like when we did we've done what's the one that the Imposter, don't be the Imposter. Among Us. We've played Among Us. We've done we have the game nights. What is the
Star or something like that, right?
Like you don't know Jack, the You Don't Know Jack series games.
Those are good to get somebody that's not a gamer.
Right, because they're they're easy and they're fun to jump into. Let's see. Diz Jake says a couple of games I couldn't put down. EverQuest Online. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Phantasy Star Online. Phantasy Star Online was my shit. I literally went out and bought a Dreamcast just to play Phantasy Star Online. Me and my brother-in-law, like he had a Dreamcast. I went and got a Dreamcast. I remember going to Target on 138 in Conyers, buying the Dreamcast just so I could play Phantasy Star Online with my like slow ass DSL internet connection back in the day. And shout out to Chris, me and my brother-in-law. That was 2000.
I got one for you.
That was speaking 2000.
Of Dreamcast. Speaking of Dreamcast, they're bringing back Legacy of Kain.
Ooh, part of the Soul Reaver series.
I mean, it's probably 2 or 3 years out. You know how they do nowadays, where they sit there and announce it, and then it's 4 years before it actually comes out.
But it has to go through all the think tanks, and it is like a foreign language. And you know what? We are not going to get wrapped up into a whole gaming thing because that's super easy. We will have a gaming night. That's what we need to do.
She says she here to hear about Bridgerton.
Right. We are going to talk Bridgerton. We are here to talk about the Queen and the Crown. I've had so much fun with this, and this is becoming a new patch. So Jeff, I'm going to tell you, man, like this is something you need to check out because I didn't know about it. I've been told about it, and I was like, man, I'm not gonna like this. If you don't watch any of the other ones, oh man, I wanted to tell you. I was like, if you don't watch any of the other ones, watch Queen Charlotte. You watch Queen Charlotte, it's gonna make you want to watch the rest. Because that's what's happened for us. That was our motivation. So
yeah.
Wait a minute, Disj, is this let's see, Wagon Trail? I'm gonna say that, and if it turns out this is Wagon Trail, you can just give me a yay or a nay, because you're saying, do I remember who you are? And I'm thinking like, well, I shout out to you. I need to. I guess I should remember, so hopefully that's the case. Yes. Okay. Wonderful. Hey, see, I appreciate it, man. Shout out. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're here. You see, we're talking about some gaming, and we're about to talk some TV, some movies. Well, we're about to jump into some streaming service, some Netflix stuff. There we go. I want to make sure he gets this last little point in. I gotta. Good. No,
sorry.
Cool. No.
You're good. I'm trying to do this through my phone tonight instead of my laptop because my laptop's split up. I got Erica moving in at the end of the month. I'm moving all my stuff around. Oh yeah, dude. Like I'm looking for rent.
So, right.
But I watched the trailer. Once you said something about Bridgerton earlier, I went and watched the trailer, and I was like, not normally my thing, but if everybody's all about it, I might try to sit down and watch an episode.
So here's the thing. There are 2 seasons of Bridgerton, and then there is a Bridgerton story called Queen Charlotte. So the way it went down is my wife accidentally, well, I'm not gonna say accidentally, but my wife ended up watching like 2 episodes in season 2 of Bridgerton. She was getting her hair done. They had it on. She watched 2 episodes in season 2. She kind of got caught up in that. Mother's Day, the family was over. I was on the grill. That's actually why this is on. I had an explosion on my grill. No, it's totally my fault. I'm fine. Like it's cool. It's cool. Like we were over here. Everybody was over here. I was actually outside, and my dad was like, because it's funny because we cut the cord. We do everything streaming, and yes, I have been under the house. But I will say this, Jake. I talk about my job, but I don't say my job. I got a social media policy, so I don't talk about the job.
I agree. I do the same thing.
Yeah, but so when my dad was here, we were all outside, and I cut the cord, so I don't have any like television service. Everything it has is all streaming, and the internet exists, so I'm good. And my dad was like, he wanted to put on. He was like, I need to go back and finish this episode. So he puts on like episode 2 of Queen Charlotte. And we're all sitting around like, wait, what you want? Oh, this is that Bridgerton show, right? This Bridgerton. And he was like, yeah. So we're watching and we see the episode. And like, when I tell you, like, whole house kind of got quiet. We're like, wait, what is she doing? Okay, so who is she? And wait, and who is this? So after we watched that episode, later on, we ended up watching like the rest of the season. Like each episode's an hour. I want to say Queen Charlotte is like 6 episodes. And because you start being introduced to these various characters. And so, of course, then you realize that like all the characters that exist in Queen Charlotte are already the main players in Bridgerton. And so
should
it's
I
like
Bridgerton first or Queen Charlotte?
I can't accurately answer that. Jeffrey, that's going to be a question for you. Is there an order that's required?
I mean, I would say in terms of chronologically, season 1, season 2 are chronological, and then Queen Charlotte is technically a prequel, but it has like flash forwards to like present day Bridgerton from the original series. So, you see younger versions of these characters and then their adult versions in like the original Bridgerton series. I think that all 3 seasons for me are very different, and people have a lot of strong feelings about each season. I think everybody really loved season 1. And then when season 2 was not exactly what season 1 was, I think a lot of people kind of got turned off, even though I think that I like season 2 more than season 1 personally. I think with Queen Charlotte, I would say this. I would say watch Queen Charlotte first, because you can watch that in and of itself. It's 6 episodes. It's a really good story. If you are interested in like what some of the other characters like Lady Whistledown and like Charlotte Bridgerton and like all those people, people's stories happen. Yeah, those people's stories are season 1 and season 2. So it basically is about. I mean, I can give like a synopsis. Like Bridgerton is basically about like the Bridgerton family. They're this like rich family in the town, which means they have status. They're lords and ladies and all this stuff like that. Every spring is basically like wedding season, where the different ladies who are of age or presented. The men who are of age are,
Yes.
they're promenading and they're courting and they're going to balls and all this stuff like that, all while trying to avoid scandal. And so someone creates basically a tabloid paper called Lady Whistledown. And she just starts like printing up gossip about everything that is and isn't happening in the town. So there's like controversy over like the secret identity of Lady Whistledown, and because of all the problems that she's kind of creating with her like
all the great
commentary on the
Girl
season
in a period piece. But it's so weird because even though it's a period piece, it so often doesn't feel like a period piece, which is what I like most about it, because it's little things that, I mean, there's some obvious nods that let you know it's not a period piece. Well, I mean, there's some obvious nods that let you know that they tried to modernize it, but they did it in a way that makes sense.
Feels natural.
When I tell you it was so natural, a very good example in Queen Charlotte, there's a scene where there's formal dancing. The music, you hear this music and you know this music. It's Alicia Keys. They're playing Alicia Keys.
But they did it like classically,
but they're playing it as the way you would have it played in
like
the
a Baroque string quartet.
In the 1600s. Mozart is there and playing music, and so it's like it's Mozart. But then later on, when they play something else, it has the same feel, but it's like it's songs that you know and recognize, so it makes it feel very, very natural. And then in other scenes, people do the things you expect that they're supposed to do in that moment.
Okay. I will definitely check it out. So,
I mean, I'm like, look, you see, I'm sitting here hyping this shit up, and I'm excited to actually kind of dive into it. So I feel like I need to put up a little bit of a spoiler warning, because if you haven't seen,
no. If you're gonna do a spoiler warning, I'm gonna go ahead and dip out.
Wait, no, that's the wrong spoiler warning. We got to fix that.
You know me.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like,
well, and initially that's why we keep it light and we make sure everybody knows.
Right.
So, I don't want to ruin it for anybody, because I would definitely say like watch it and check it out. But I feel like there's some stuff that has to. Okay, so first off, I can only talk about Queen Charlotte. I am currently watching. My wife wants to finish season 2 because that's what she started, and then we're going to go back and watch the original season. I was like, no, for Bridgerton, if they have 2 seasons, we have to watch season 1, then watch season 2. This was a separate story.
To be fair, you don't really have to do it that way, because the season 2 storyline. So basically, each season is about a member of the Bridgerton families in their like wedding season. You know what I mean? So season 1 is about the daughter, one of the daughters. Season 2 is with the oldest son. Nothing that like you would maybe have like a little bit better idea of who the older.
Is that Nathan?
Yes.
Okay.
So you would have like maybe you would just know who Nathan is, but you don't really get like a great deal of sense into like his character as a human. He gets more layers in season 2. And so if you had just started at season 2, I don't think that you would be like, this is coming out of left field. It's like everything they're establishing about that character is happening from like the ground up, even in season 2, because he's not the focal point. So
gotcha.
you could technically just do season 2. You could do whatever order, but
okay.
I think starting with season 1 makes sense, but
makes sense. Yeah.
You wouldn't miss anything.
There's actually obvious chronological requirement, because if there's themes that carry over from season 1 into season 2, then you want to watch season 1 and then go to season 2, because it's a continuation. Whereas, as you mentioned, because Queen Charlotte is in fact a standalone and is kind of a prequel, that's an individual story that's being told. And the story that's being told there can, doesn't really have any bearing on the other part. All right.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is there are like a couple of things like that happen in season 2, but it's more just like if you care about, like if you are, like I personally wasn't really caught up in the mystery of who is Lady Whistledown because I figured it out like halfway through season 1. But then it was also just like, do you think it's a secret whether or not these two characters are going to get together in the end? Like, if you want to keep that a secret, then yes, watch season 1, then season 2. But like, in my opinion, we know how these stories go. So I don't think if you watch season 2, you would be surprised at any outcome of
it
season
explain
1 character that you see.
I think some of the, I don't like everything that I've seen up to this point, like what I saw with Queen Charlotte, and I really, really enjoyed that show. I just want to go on record as saying that like Shonda Rhimes did her thing with this concept, and it's funny that when you go on Google and you put "is Bridgerton," or actually you type in "is Queen Charlotte," the very next thing that comes up is like the number one Google search is based on a true story. And I'm like, right. I love this because just the idea that people are really out there thinking that this is real history. Like, she's German. Did you see the Queen? But then I thought about Django, Broomhilda.
It was some of that.
Well, no, like, and that's what we were talking about. I was like, you know what? If you go back and you look at Django, the very first thing Candy talks about is him having a girl from Germany. What's the point of having a girl from Germany if she doesn't speak German? So I mean, like, there's, be careful if you've seen Django. I'm not just throwing it out there for everybody to watch, but Hilda, Hildy, as Jamie Foxx was referring to her, like, she was German. So it got me to thinking, and I was like, you know what? I guess there was, the Moors had there was a population there in that portion of Europe. Sure, especially given time. So
I know why Teresa's saying watch season 1 first. Sam is not going to be as excited for season 1 as the same reason y'all was excited over season 1. So for him, it's less urgent. But I get why.
Look, with your regular casting choices, I get that it's a thing because I promise you, if I was to hit up my cousin True right now, she would probably be like, "Yeah, I watched Bridgerton. I watched Bridgerton season 1 5 times." I could automatically see that being the conversation she would have. Okay, now Ashley, that's appreciated. It is fiction based on fact, and there is definitely some factual elements of it. You know what I'm saying? The madness of King George. Oh, she said you know what? Hold on, let me help you out just in case, because don't issue a challenge like boom, there you go. There go the link right there. Just click that. You can come right on in and say what you got to say. Matter of fact, Ashley, you hop on in here too. I know you got some words. We can talk some Game of Thrones while you up in here too. But no, I mean, like the fact that there were all these little side stories that were taking place, and being able to see, being able to see in a weird way, the growth of these characters. Like when they do the flash forwards, you definitely get an understanding of why they are the way they are. Because you can see an opportunity come on in here. She said she plugged it in. We're gonna have special guests tonight, Teresa. And Teresa actually, she moved forward. She actually started up her she's on an episode of her own podcast. She can give us more details about it when she hops in. Okay, I think I might be done sneezing. I don't know. I don't know where that little sneezer fit came from. But yeah, like being able to see the growth of the characters and stuff. I couldn't help but to notice the one of the things that stuck out to me, the actor that played that played King George. I just felt that actor, how do I say this? He reminded me of somebody that I went to school with. He reminded me of somebody that grew up in the neighborhood where all the black kids were.
Mm-hmm.
And he recognized that he wasn't black, but he like King George kind of, I feel like he kind of gets a pass and he would kind of like get to go to the cookout. Obviously, he's a little off. He got some other situations going on, but it was just something about him that just like right from rip, I was like, okay, this dude, he all right. But you know, and it's like in Brimley, I really like the character Brimley. I didn't care for Reynolds though. Reynolds, like, you know, and I thought it was interesting. Like, as we fast forward, we don't see much more of Reynolds, but we see Brimley throughout.
Well, yeah, you don't really see the king very much in the original series, so
Mm.
it's like you wouldn't see Reynolds at all in the original series because the queen basically is like she's like the commissioner of the dating league, and so they all have a ball. She picks the belle of the belle of the season, who is like this is her like this is the most eligible woman in the town. So you better come with the right money. You know what I mean? And yeah, I think it's just like it's an interesting. It was like you said, it's a very interesting concept, but I think the execution of it was good, right? Like I feel like you could start off with the whole like race thing, right? Like they
A great
introduce it, but
experiment.
where but that's the thing. In Bridgerton, they don't really address it. It's not really a thing because or more it seems to be more of a thing of like we've we all grew up like this. So like in Queen Charlotte, you see like the mother of the Bridgerton family. She's a
Right,
child when the first black people get their like
right,
lordships, right? So she's grown up in this world and she's raised her children in this world where there are black and other families that are not just white. And she also, as they show on the show, she has a father who's like very accepting of other races. So
yes, yes.
so I think like they don't really like address it, but it is kind of this thing of like
He was
it
definitely a
ain't a whole
rambling
bunch
man.
of yeah. And they didn't have to I mean, they didn't really even have to address it, I don't think, on in Bridgerton, but I think it was interesting that they chose to explain like how that sort of equality came to be in that world, you know what I mean?
Right. I mean, if nothing else, I like that it was yes, it was like segregation without it being known. I mean, in all societies like that, whether it be the race, it could have just been like you don't have the same kind of money we have. You're a peasant and you don't belong in this area where we are. You get that in everything. Um, you know, like money is just as much a separating factor as race, color, creed, religion, preference, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know, your financial status, your level of income. You can be excluded from certain country clubs because you're not as wealthy as the other members there. And, you know, just crazy stuff like that. If you have the money to be there, then cool, you can be there. And that was one of the things that was pointed out. Right, it says the father kept Violet open-minded because the mother was a racist. I liked how Violet was. She was one to pointing out. She was like, all of these people have money. Some of them have more land even than we do. They're respectable. They're polite. They have manners. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, for her, the society she grew up in was definitely a different place. So when she became an adult, it was normal. it was, and it's what a dream
Right.
to think that it can,
Her kids grew up in a world with a black queen. You know what I mean? They don't know
right.
anything other than that.
And it's like, what a beautiful story to think that it could be ended in a single generation like that. The racism wouldn't exist after that. Uh, but we do get to see in Queen Charlotte, it does get addressed. Um, exactly, Violet. Violet is definitely that one. Um, we do get to see that there's a conversation that happens between Lady Danbury and the Queen. When, of course, she's talking about, like, yeah, you want to leave, but you got to think about this. Like, you are doing something that has never happened, and if you leave, you have to think about what's going to happen to the rest of us. So you're not just here for yourself. Like, you represent a whole people. It's not just you. And that was that. I thought that was a very powerful conversation that they were having, and we see that comes through a little later when we see Lady Danbury having a conversation with the princess regarding her title and her son's title. And let me tell you, like, there has never been that is one of the greatest conversations I've seen on film, period. When the princess is telling Lady Danbury, she's like, hey, suck it up. There will be no crying here. That moment, and she was like, she was basically like, I respect you as an adversary, so I need you to step your game up. Okay, we do our thing, we go back and forth. Don't quit on me now. Like,
yeah.
It got a little dusty in the room at that moment, and it was like I was feeling that pain. We got a special guest, Ding Dong. We're gonna bring on Teresa. Got some things to say. Welcome, Teresa. What is going on?
Not too much.
So I was hoping that I was keeping up with everything you were saying quickly enough and explaining it. I may not have been getting those comments up just in time. Actually, if you want to hop in here, there's room. Just click the link, type it in, and boom, you can jump on in here too. So what are the initial thoughts you want to present on and you can cover however you like, season 1, season 2, or the Queen?
Well, first off, Jeffrey, are you Jeffrey or Jeff?
Well, now that he's the only Jeff on, Jeff is acceptable.
Okay. Jeff had my thumbs flying. I couldn't type fast enough on my phone, so I had to boot up the computer. You mentioned that I wanted Sam to watch season 1, or not I, that people, women. One of those generalizations, and no, that's no, because I didn't find him attractive at all, and that's not why I was watching. And I didn't even watch this first season, as soon as it came out. Like, everybody was just, oh my God, I can't wait till it comes out. When's it coming out? Whatever. Because they're infatuated with this young man. He's an attractive young man, but, he doesn't do it for me. And he didn't even make me watch it in the very beginning. I heard all the hype and everything. Everybody's talking about it. So I finally started watching it. And it's really good. It's just really, really well done.
Agree.
I was into the story, and even before I could get into the story, the visuals and the music. Yeah, there's something happened. Every scene is gorgeous, from the flowers to the architecture, the wallpaper, everything is just, you're engulfed in Bridgerton. And then there comes the story, and the story is really good. And the way my mind works, it took me a while to even realize that those songs that they were doing the minuet to were modern songs that
Well, see, I watch everything
they're-
with subtitles, so I ruin stuff because it tells me.
well, see, I can't watch anything with subtitles, and if people start going crazy over something that's in another language that's not dubbed in English, it only has subtitles, I can't watch it. And people make fun of people who don't do subtitles. They're like, well, just go ahead and admit you don't read fast. That's exactly right. I read very slowly, and that's why I don't like subtitles. So, if you say that about me, you're not insulting me, you're just telling the truth. But
Nothing
no,
wrong
I
with
can't watch anything with subtitles because I'll miss what's going on trying to read the subtitles.
Right. See, because I watch anime and a lot of that stuff happens very fast, I
Yeah.
have to like go up and down, up and down. But I'm also the person that like I'm notorious. If I'm at home watching it, I will rewind something as many times as I need to hear what I'm trying to hear.
Well, yeah,
So
I'll do
people hate
that too, but that's just because my attention span is so short. I'll
right. It's
realize I've
the
spaced out.
luxury of home viewing.
But yeah, so I watched Bridgerton.
I can't hear without the subtitles. That's what I'm talking about, Ashley. It don't even sound right if I can't read the words. But it does actually, I feel like it actually has changed because we're at the point now where like the wife and I, we literally just automatically turn subtitles on. And I forget what it was we were watching, but we were watching something and it was like we kept like it felt like everybody was mumbling in the show. So we turned on the subtitles and we just watched the entire thing with the subtitles on. And then it got to the point where like we have it, all the settings are set, like all subtitles on all the time. And I find that like I don't have to rewind it as often to be like, what did they say? Or I can see who said what, or I know when music is playing and stuff like that. And it's at the point now where it's just like, yeah, we watch something, we just turn the subtitles on. Simple as
Now
that.
that's distracting for me. I can't watch the action if I'm reading subtitles.
Well,
So
typically there's not a lot of talking during the action scenes. I will say that. It's not as much talking during the action. But if there's a detail that you need to know, like if a door closes during an action scene and you see like all the flashing and the moving and the shooting on the screen, it'll say door closed, and you know that sound you heard was supposed to be a closed door.
gotcha.
I'm telling you, that's why it's like you can't hear because you catch things that you wouldn't have, that you may not have caught otherwise just listening. And so now, as a result, and so when I was like, I think it was some people was I've got nothing. It says I've got nothing, Alicia Keys, and I'm looking at these people. I'm like, what are they talking about? I've got nothing. That's not a. Oh, that's the song they're playing. Oh, damn. So it was like that moment was like a revelation to me, and I was quite impressed by the fact that I heard, like I read it on the screen and I heard the music, but I was already like so immersed. It really wouldn't have mattered what they played. They could have played some old like whatever ditty you would have played for that type of formal dancing at a ball, and I would have been like, they are jamming. Check them out. You know what I'm saying? Like the little
but
skip
that
hop
detail.
dancing.
That detail's not for us. That detail's for like the younger people who see our music as oldies. Anyway,
True, but also
like we was watching Living Single today, and I was like, it's kind of crazy that us watching Living Single now. Like my son is 5. I was like, this is basically the same thing as like when my uncles would make me watch like Good Times and Sanford and
Son.
Like,
yeah.
Yep. Yeah, there are little whippersnappers running around who don't know what Living Single is.
I mean, honestly, it'll be Living Single. It'll be Martin. In
Different
just a little
world.
bit, the original Fresh Prince.
Yeah.
The fact that you can even say the original Fresh Prince.
The real Fresh Prince.
I'm not even gonna say the real, because I feel like there's enough people that support the new one to potentially say the original. I haven't watched it myself.
I haven't finished it, but it's a decent show. It's well acted. The story's good. The way that they kind of like flip everything and make it serious but they still have, I think, a lot of like original heart of the original show. So I would recommend it if you like the original Fresh Prince.
I watched the first episode. I watched that back. This is before I actually subscribed to Peacock, and I was on my little trial period. I watched the first episode, and I was absolutely okay with how they got Will out to Bel Air. That portion of the story, it all worked out. It made sense. I was able to follow. I like that. That went well for me. But it's just I don't know. I didn't feel the need to follow up. But I am going to absolutely follow up, and I'm gonna make the wife watch all of Bridgerton. And I've been pushing to watch it season 1, then season 2. And because she already watched like an episode, she was getting her hair done. So I don't know if it was 2 full episodes, but I know it was at least 1 episode and then most of another episode. She was describing it to me.
Mm-hmm. I think you should watch 1 and then 2. That's just my opinion. Because with 1, you get the whole like history of the family.
Right.
All of the like 8 kids or whatever, you get all of that. And, of course, probably everybody figured out who Lady Whistledown was in the first season. But
I feel like they might even kind of ruin it in the trailer for season 2.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things where it's like, okay, so I watched Gossip Girl with my daughter. And so I already know that it's not going to be like a red herring kind of thing. It's going to be a main character. You know what I'm saying? Like it's one of those things where it's like, it's not going to be, the person you least expect. It's going to be like, no, it's going to be the person who always happens to be at like every situation. Maybe they don't need to be there, but they always happen to be there. It's not difficult.
Yeah.
When you get to a point where you start like, and Teresa, you will be there very soon if you're not there already. When you get to a point where you like watch things with the intention to critique it later, you tend to watch it differently. I have to watch a lot of things twice because the first time I just want to know if I liked it. Did I enjoy it? Could I just sit down and watch it? And then if I have to do any kind of like critique, I'll watch it a second time. And Jeff had like literally, I would say over the course of these last couple of years, Jeff has taught me to be much more discerning and everything don't get passed anymore. Because honestly, I would honestly just look at it and be like, you know what? I enjoyed it. But I recognize that I can enjoy garbage because I do a whole show called Why Did I Watch That?
Yeah.
Where we sit and we watch garbage. And it's entertainment. You know what I'm saying? I do it for fun. I know that I'm not like looking for Oscar-worthy stuff all the time. It's some shit I've wanted to cut off. But for the most part, you know what I'm saying? It's like you're there to enjoy what you're seeing. Anytime there's a mystery afoot, anytime there's a who done it, or in this case, I wonder who Lady Whistledown is. I would not enjoy watching season 2 going in knowing who she was, because then when I watch season 1, it's going to alter how I see season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm always going to be looking for where was she in the scene that she would have been able to see that or get that information. And when you do that, you start to kind of not really ruin the experience, but I don't think it becomes a very cohesive, and it's not a natural experience. Each book is for each child. So I'm guessing the number of this story, Bridgerton as a whole, is based on some
book
books.
Series. Yeah.
And now
I don't know nothing about those though.
Was it just modified for television by Shonda? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
It's adapted.
Like, she didn't. Okay, so it was like she didn't write it. So let's see. I gotta find out who she was at the end of season 1, season 2, the aftermath, the Bastard Smith. Okay, see, and that would be the thing. Now, knowing that to me is not as much a spoiler because if anytime there's that at the end of said season you're gonna find out. Now, if it was something that used to come like Gossip Girl used to come on like network television, so they were hoping for like 7, 8, 9, 10 seasons if they could. They used to stretch it out and try to delay it as much as they could. if Gossip Girl had originally just premiered as a Netflix show, they probably would have like dropped that shit in season 2. We would have found out real quick who the Gossip Girl was so that they could advance the story and move the plot along. And I will say that is one of the things between like Queen Charlotte getting 6 episodes versus how many episodes are in Bridgerton? They're like 10 each.
I think they're like 10 or 12.
Okay.
Is it that many? I was thinking 8, but I don't know.
I just noticed that Queen Charlotte was decidedly fewer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
so
they
it
also
is
had some
8
episodes that were like an hour and a half. Like, so I think
So
the
they're
last episode of Queen Charlotte was like an hour and a half or something like that.
Bro, we was just sitting down
Yeah, they
watching
were
it.
80.
I couldn't even tell how long anything was. We just clicked next and play. I was like all in on
Yeah, and I was a little sad when I mean it was over. You know, they wrapped it up in 6, but
yeah.
I was a little sad that it was only 6. It was so good. Well, I enjoyed it so much.
I enjoyed it as well. Like I could definitely do many more episodes with that young queen.
Yeah.
With that young lady Danbury.
See, this is the thing that I think that they're getting right about Bridgerton, though. It's like, I don't know if you remember this, Sam, but back when Stranger Things first came out, there was like all the speculation about like what they were going to do for season 2. And everybody kept talking about like, oh, well, the kids are going to grow up and then we're going to, and I was just like, honestly, I would much rather it just be like completely focused on different characters. It could have the same like backstory, but maybe it's some other town where weird stuff is happening and you just move around, because I think what Bridgerton has done well is take the interesting characters and just dive super, super deep into them. And then when you're done with them, you're done with them. And we're going to move on to someone else's situation. And we're just going to dive into that and focus on that. And that keeps you from doing like the George Lucas thing of like over-explaining midichlorians, because you just can't help yourself to explain like what's going on with these characters. You can't help yourself but keep going back to the same well over and over and over again. I think that even with using established characters, doing a prequel and having younger versions of them versus the older versions of them is a new way of like looking at the characters. So now when you go into Bridgerton season 3, we all have a different understanding of Lady Danbury, and we have a different understanding of Violet Bridgerton and even the Queen herself because of what we saw in Queen Charlotte. But they didn't feel the need to include all the black backstory or black story in the original seasons because there's like it's just like we showed up. There's a black queen. All right, nobody's gonna say anything about it. I'm not gonna say anything about it either. That's just the world that Bridgerton lives in. Cool. Then when they wanted to address it, they went back and told the story in like a complete way instead of just half-assing it and giving like a half an episode or a Queen Charlotte story being some allegory to help some white girl figure out who she was really in love with. So I think that they've done a good job of like when they focus on a character, they focus on the character. And when they are done with that character, they are done with that character in terms of being in the focus, and everything that that character does or any outside character does is to like play back into the larger story at hand.
Right.
And they like end up setting up, you know, the next season. So I think isn't season 3 I forget her name.
Ashley, she has a comment right here. It says season 3 is supposed to come out this year. They didn't think Queen Charlotte was going to go and do what it did. But I will say that like anybody who's unsure, take it from, and I'm not going to say that I was anti-Bridgerton. I will say that I don't really care for period pieces. I think, well,
it's a fantasy.
It depends on the period for me because I'm not into history.
I mean, like
I would not have watched this if there were no black people in it, and that's usually why I don't watch stuff like this.
And that's, you know what? That's look. Let's keep it a buck. most period pieces don't have anything I care about. They don't have the interest. I mean, it's like I understand the story. You know, if you take, I would watch Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies over Pride and Prejudice, just because it's
Right.
going to have something that's going to be interesting to me. Just watching Pride and Prejudice, I can't relate to most of that. I don't come from that wealthy family, et cetera, et cetera.
I guess it
That's
really, for me, it depends on like what it's about. Because I was thinking, I started to agree with you, saying, that I wouldn't watch it if it didn't have any black people either. But I started thinking about it. That's not true because I've seen Little Women is one of my favorite stories
okay.
of all time, and I've seen every iteration of the movie that's been out multiple times. I used to watch Anne of Green Gables on PBS and any other iteration of that. It was on Netflix or something. It's the little redhead girl, and I loved that show. So it doesn't necessarily have to have a black person in it. It's just got to have something that I care about in it. And I usually like young women, young female characters. So that's usually it for me. Bridgerton, I can't really say because if I had seen previews or whatever and I saw the dresses, the wardrobe, the hairstyles, the wigs, the architecture, because I'm into European architecture and like murals and friezes and plaster stuff in the architecture, I might have watched it. Um, but so I can't really say that it was just because of because it has black people in it. But that certainly helped.
I mean, I just know for me and my scrolling habit, I would have just kept scrolling because I
Yeah.
stopped for the same reason you did too, with the architecture and the dresses. But then when I was like, there's also black people in this.
Right.
That's the thing that made me stop because I was like, all right, cool, architecture. I mean, because I watched The Crown. I'm interested in that though, just because it's like, okay, this is like showing some scandalous, salacious.
Wait, The
stuff.
Crown, was that the animated one? No, that was The
No.
Prince.
Yes.
I watched The Prince.
The Crown
Okay.
is the Crown is the Netflix one. That's
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
and it's some doozies in there.
See, I watched The Prince. It was animated and it was funny. So I mean that may not count.
The Prince is funnier. The Prince is funnier if you've watched The Crown.
Okay.
I'll say that because there's just so much stuff where it's just like understanding and honestly, watching The Crown is what kind of helped me understand Bridgerton because I didn't really understand like the dating and courting aspect of like high society and who was allowed to be with who, and that's why so many cousins and double cousins and triple cousins and all kinds of crazy stuff going on in like the royal family. So
because they care more about keeping it royal, than keeping it
genetically viable.
Right.
And you know what? But it's I probably came into that with I've seen like 8 seasons, technically 7. We don't talk about the 8th, but like all the seasons of Game of Thrones and everything that they kind of explained about that almost would have been enough to like understand what's going on in Bridgerton. But even see, and exactly like I was able to keep up with that part of it super easy. Like, and so if that's the type of stuff that I'm going to see in season 1, season 2, I'll be fine with that. I was able to see that sort of stuff in Queen Charlotte and the courting and stuff like that. I guess I've just watched enough stuff.
But see, it's different. The courting in Bridgerton and the courting in Queen Charlotte is different. There wasn't no courting in Queen Charlotte.
No, well, see, in Queen Charlotte, the courting in Queen Charlotte was you were betrothed, you've been promised, this is an arranged marriage, this takes place, it happened. But I've seen, I've I have to find the name of this movie, but I saw this one movie. It is a complete stinker, and it takes place right around the Revolutionary period, and there's this mass vigilante doing a whole Zorro bit, and he is like during the day he's like courting this one woman, and by night he's this vigilante hero. So it's like I've seen shit like that. My parents were members of Jack and Jill Society when I was younger, so I know about like the cotillions and the balls and all that sort of stuff. So I'm very familiar with that, and seeing that, I know now. I did not know that like the queen would be the one like, oh, you're the belle of the ball. She walks up, forehead kiss. Okay, she's the hot ticket item. Everybody got to get her. That makes sense.
Right.
That explains a little bit of season one. She was like, oh my god, did that just happen? I'm like, I mean, the queen said you were flawless. That's a compliment. Clearly, I didn't realize that that was that moment. Like you just became that it girl because of that.
Mhm.
Now,
Yeah, for sure.
when I watch like I've seen Excalibur, or I think it was first night, whatever one had Richard Gere and Sean Connery. I feel like it was Excalibur.
First night.
That was first. I felt like first night was Martin Lawrence.
That's
That's
Black
what
Knight.
Blackest Night. Okay, I was having a moment. This is number two, but when I watch First Night, you know what I'm saying? Like it's got that same. It's a similar period. It's a different period, but it's similar. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I could be in that time frame, architecture, that part of the world, etc. That part doesn't bother me. What bothers me is being bored because I could take even the way they spoke at the time. Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, starring Claire Danes and Leonardo DiCaprio. I love that movie. I absolutely love that movie, and it is Shakespeare, and they talk like the actual play the entire movie. It's almost irritating, but it's done in such a natural way that it just seems like that's how people talk. And I feel like sometimes the problem is when you see a lot of period pieces, they talk like they are acting. That's how they talk, as opposed to
They still doing stage acting
right,
versus
as
movie
opposed to
acting.
just speaking like that's how you talk. And you know what I'm saying?
Romeo. It's like, no, man, don't get away from my window talking like that.
Right. And see, it is like, of course, the very first thing that comes to mind, and I don't know why, but this is one of those things that plays in my head all the time. Whenever people go like, "What'd you just say?" or like, "Huh?" Like whenever they get combative with the question, the very first thing that comes about is like, "Do you bite your thumb at me?" I do bite my thumb, sir, but not at you. But do you bite your thumb at me? I bite my thumb, sir. Yes, this is true, but I do not bite my thumb at you. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like that's regular ass conversation. Hey, boy, you talking shit to me? I mean, I'm talking shit, but I ain't talking shit to you. But are you
Right.
talking shit to me? But I'm just saying, like, there was shit that was talked, but it wasn't talked to you. It needs to still feel natural. It needs to still flow. It still needs to make sense. And all of these characters in Bridgerton, in Queen Charlotte, so far, everything I've seen, they don't give you the impression that they are acting like people from a time period. They're just talking. It just happens as how
Hmm.
they sound. And that was a big sell for me to like keep me engaged and have me watch. And when they slip in something like Alicia Keys being played on strings, that's just a nice nod that's going to make me pay attention. You know what I'm saying? Because it's going to make it feel more familiar than it should. And whenever you're comfortable, that's automatically more reason to like and enjoy. So, um,
All right, I'm a go ahead and
let me before you hit this, I want to point out one thing. And I noticed this in Queen Charlotte, and I understand it's a big thing in Bridgerton. And since we were talking Game of Thrones, I just want to throw this out there. So it's rated TVMA, and I watch Queen Charlotte. It's a lot of sex in this TV show,
yeah, yes, 100%.
but it's not like a lot of nudity, and it doesn't. If it's possible to say that it's all like tasteful in a weird way, it's almost like you can actually see why the sex scenes happen. They actually
It's too
like
much. It's too
in Queen
much.
Charlotte. In Queen Charlotte, anyway, I felt like it made sense because my man was losing his mind, and my wife was like, "All he needs is a good woman." See, look, every time he's with her, he's good. All he needs is a good woman. We was kind of laughing about it, but it was like his hands wasn't shaking when his legs were shaking. That's all I'm saying. And it was done tastefully, it doesn't seem like it was. And I say that in comparison to like Game of Thrones, where they're
Game
trying
of
to like
Thrones.
right when it was just trying to be like, okay, how many episodes? Oh damn, we've had 3 episodes, no tits. Okay, let's put a sex scene right here. That's what it felt like at some point in Game of Thrones. Like it was just a sex scene because it was a sex scene. At least it felt like in this, there was a reason for, or everything kind of led to. Now I don't know if season 1 or season 2. See, okay, so maybe season 1
So
is where the
much.
issue is.
Season 1 is out of control. It's like not much in the beginning, but then it's like episode like 5 or 6. It's like, damn. Just
Come up for
across
air,
the
take
whole
a
estate.
breather.
A breather. That's all they was doing, breathing heavily.
Like rabbits.
Like they go from like not even knowing what it is to just like all the time, every day. And it's like, all right, like cool. But then in season 1, there's like a whole thing around that too. That's interesting. It sparked some fairly stupid debates.
Some conversations was happening.
Yeah. But I did want to say too, like I would say this: I love the writing on the show. I think the acting on the show is phenomenal. I personally really enjoyed season 2. I actually like season 2 more than season 1, but I know I'm in the vast minority of people who feel that way. It's a lot of sex.
I'm hearing the same thing over and over, so that is
what, the season 2 is better than season 1?
Yes.
That's not what I've heard. I've heard a lot of people be like,
you got different circles, but like the people that I would actually trust as far as an opinion of a show or something like that.
Yeah.
What did I tell you when we came in here? My wife wanted to finish season 2 and then watch season 1. I was like, just because this is Bridgerton season 1, season 2, we got to go in order. But you know what I'm saying? Like what I get from the people whose opinion I would even take, I'm hearing the same thing over and over. Season 2 was better. So I'm like, well, shit, let's watch that one. But then it'll just end up being a situation where I don't end up watching season 1 because if I don't watch this was good, 3. Why would I even bother? Right. And so I would go that way.
Season 1 was good. Season 2 was good. Queen Charlotte was good. I mean, I'm interested to see if they like kind of stay true to what was going on, or if they're if it's gonna be a lot of cooks in the kitchen now that it's successful and people gonna want to trying to put their own little touches and stuff on it. So hopefully I don't know if this one is about if season 3 is about the sister or the brother, but the younger sister who's like they're starting to like introduce her into society. She's actually my favorite character.
Yeah, she's got the most personality, but season 3 is they're going in order of the children.
So it's the brother.
Yeah.
And it's like,
so is Daphne like the eldest sister?
Yes,
but but her brother is older than her.
Yeah, so it's not technically in order, right? They started with Daphne, she was the oldest sister.
And that part was that makes sense. I mean, if season 2 is mostly about the brother, we kind of see a little bit of the brother in the first season,
right? And they were trying to get Anthony to calm down and settle down in the first season as well, but he was kind of felt like he was taking up for his father or whatever. So
he had to play like the dad role while his
Daphne
sister
out
was
into society.
Gotcha. See, there was I have to look something up. Wow. Okay, because there was something I watched on Amazon that had Orlando Bloom and Cara Delevingne, and they had like fairies and orcs and Carnival
Row.
Yes, Carnival Row. And Carnival Row, I wish it had been better. It felt like it kind of falls in a similar time period, maybe just a little later than this, because this obviously takes place during the time of King George. Um, so that story would probably end by the 1800s, whereas this story takes place in like maybe the 1820s, 1830s. Um, and so Carnival Row has a lot of the
Lady Featherington.
same feelings, kind of same time period. But this is obviously a much better show, and it's crazy because it had like fairies and orcs, and you know,
I like Carnival Row.
I like Carnival Row too. I have yet to finish it, but
Yeah,
it
I think
was like I enjoyed it, but it just kind of like, oh my god, please find the creature already.
it wasn't. I mean, because I kind of got into season one.
Oh,
It kind of flowed.
it dragged so much.
I didn't think it. Well, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I
I
think I've started season two, but I haven't gotten back to it yet.
when we got
It's
to the
no
point,
Bridgerton.
it's no Bridgerton at all. No Bridgerton at all. But I feel like let's see, the
I
turning
will say
point for the
that's.
show. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
I was gonna say the turning point for Carnival Row was probably when we get the backstory in the cave on Orlando Bloom's character. When we find out like who he is and his backstory, that's where it's like you expect it to just like go from there, and then it takes like two more episodes before anything of relevance happens. But I did like that they had very similar tones, because I remember the one brother was trying to keep the family afloat. He was trying to keep up appearances. The sister was like, look, we got to do something. So she goes, and what does she do? She reaches out to the one neighbor who has horns. Never mind that he's a black man. He has horns, and that was the thing. I mean, he also had like goat legs, so I get it. But she reaches out and she's like, you know what? We should host a ball and invite him, and he'll come over and people will see. And it was kind of the same thing where like Lady Danbury hosts a ball. So it's like I can see there's elements in it that I recognize and I'm familiar with, and themes that I see and I understand, but I wish that I could tell you what it was about Bridgerton. It just had Shonda all over it. You know what I'm saying? It was just something. It
I
was
think
just a
that
vibe in Bridgerton that I couldn't escape.
you know what it was. I think with Bridgerton, what it got right that a lot of period pieces get wrong is focus on the dialogue. Like the story in and of itself is like fairly simple. The in each season, right? It's like somebody's getting married. That's what Bridgerton is. Two people are about to get married. Now, how is this
I
going
mean,
to
because
happen?
that always be the big
And
event of the season.
right. And so the way that she deals with like how people talk to each other is what makes it what I feel like what draws you in as a viewer, right? Because like you said, it is Shakespearean, Victorian, whatever era this is supposed to be set in, right? But it doesn't feel like that when you're listening to the characters. So basically you're watching people speak in a very like colloquial way, but with just like a more posh filter over the top of it. They're doing a
Right.
good job of explaining the rules of society as you go and get deeper into the world. So the things that have changed over the 300-400 years since Bridgerton was around, like you can tell the difference. Like you're not going to know it's a big deal for you to be alone with a man in a garden until they're like you can't do that, or what I'm saying. So
Right.
I think in terms of world building, not just in explaining the information and showing us all this stuff visually, but just in how people talk to each other, you could tell. You like they didn't have to come in and be like, "This is Anthony. He's the oldest." It's like you could tell by how he acts. You could tell by how he speaks to everyone. Now they do say it verbally to like just reaffirm it, but when they say it, you're not like, "Oh, I thought it was somebody else." You know what I mean? You could tell, what's her name
We
is
object
very
to our
naive.
brother to our marriages. Our brother here,
Yeah.
he's the acting head of house. Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
So Georgie, be a dear, go ahead and approve their marriages.
Yeah.
I approve. Good luck. Yeah. Moments
Yeah.
like that where it's like, who's this guy? Where'd he come from? Oh, but
Yeah.
wait, because the father, they did say he's the acting head. Got it. Okay. And you do kind of pick up on that. And even when you see like little Lord Danbury right here, dude's like 5 years old and he's like the head of the household. Like, what? You can't. But that's how titles work. And the solicitor explains, like, it would have been very clear this title passes from Lord Danbury down to his eldest son. It's like, oh, but he has a son. Yeah, but they didn't really say that passes down. So, yeah.
Right. He was trying to hold on to that title. So that's why she was, acting like it automatically went to the kid. But they didn't know that for sure.
Oh, yeah. I'm Lady Danbury is without a doubt one of my favorite characters.
Of course.
She's the best character in the series, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would say Young Queen is right there behind her. But
if you also haven't seen Lady Danbury fire folks up in season 1 and season 2.
Right.
Old Lady Danbury.
But see, like, even what I got of old Lady Danbury in Queen Charlotte was like, okay, I like her. And getting to the end of that,
I'll punch your father.
Right, like getting to the end of that, and and I just wanted to say, like, her and the relationship between her and Violet. It took us a moment because my wife was like, when we were going through, I was like, no, that right there. They're saying Bridgerton, but that's the daughter. I was like, that's Lord Ledger's daughter right there. And she was like, what? I was like, look, her name is Victoria. That's the same one. I was trying to help her remember who the mother was. And I was like, remember when the queen was like, when Lady Danbury was trying to have the party and she had the ladies in waiting, and the ladies, it was like the 4 ladies right there, they were all from the ton, and she was like, oh, I'm throwing the ball. She was like, oh, so sorry, we're not going to be able to make it. The first lady that was like, I can't make it, that's the wife.
Right.
Let me tell you something. We got around to the scene of the party hat, and Victoria had all her she had all her party hats out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, we was both just sitting there like, ooh, this is finna go left. This is finna get real weird and awkward and ugly. And I was like, but you know what? That also explains why she's like always kind of like taking interest in Victoria, like always kind of hung out and Violet, exactly. Like she's always kind of like taking a liking to Violet and made sure she was okay. It's just like, look out for you. Daddy's not here, and he was special to me, so I really hated that for her in that moment. When he came, he was just meddling. What did he say? Rambling. Whatever he called it, when he was just walking.
Brought Violet with him.
Yeah, I was like, bro, oh my God, why would you do that? But you can see it in his face, and that's what made it bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't want to be there, but he had to be there, but he didn't want to be. And I was like, okay, that counts a little bit. That counts a little bit. But better to, like, I don't know. I still feel
hopefully
some kind of way
in season
about that.
3, we can get some other black dudes who, like, are not just super soft or just old, like, curmudgeonly, like.
Yeah, because I was like, bruh, gross. What is going on with. I was laughing the whole time with Lord Danbury because I'm like, he clearly has no idea what has taken place and what his wife has accomplished. But it's obvious also because he was like way older than her that, he came from that different time. My wife kept calling him Mr. From Color Purple.
Pretty much.
I kind of I felt sorry for the actor because I'm like, how must it feel to get a role where the role, he's just gross. And to know that you fit that bill enough to get the role of the gross dude.
mean, some people are working actors for a reason. It's
Yeah,
just
I guess.
you have a unique look, and I attribute that to, like, if you look at TikToks, if you look at some people lean real heavy into what works for them.
Yeah, I guess you have to. You want to be an actor, and that's what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah. Lady Danbury was promised at 3 years old.
Right.
I mean, I honestly I understood why, like, that scene where she's having a conversation with the brother, with the Duke.
Yeah.
It
Hmm.
was like, you know what? I mean, I get it. Not the Duke. He's the king technically because he's like a king
Right.
over Germany. When she's having a conversation with him, I was like, I mean, I hate that for you, but I get it. Like, I get it. And then, of course, it was like it was one of those weird moments where it's like I forgot that I'm watching something that already kind of explains it. And my wife was like, "Oh my god, she's gonna turn him down." I was like, "But think about it, babe, think about it. She's still Lady Danbury as an adult. Every time we've seen her, like when she was at the church talking to that other lady, she was Lady
Yeah.
Danbury then. So she's obviously something's gonna work out. Like, we don't have to worry about this. She's gonna be good. I don't know how, but like clearly she's good. She was like, "Yeah, you're right, you're right." But I mean, we was both like upset right there in that moment because we was like she said, this would solve all of her problems. But I had to like truly respect her as well because it was like, you know what? She took that friendship seriously. And it almost cost her everything, but it worked out in the end. So it's like, oh man, simple old happy ending like that.
Plus, she didn't want to go have to have any more babies for people she didn't like.
That
Right.
was
That's where you
that
messed it up.
right. That was the nail in
Yeah,
the
because she
coffin.
she looked like she was down until he started talking. Oh well, of course I have to have an heir, and she was like, you know what, I'm good.
So you mean I'm not just gonna be like your wife because you love me? Oh, okay. You know what? Been there, done that. Got the T-shirt. I'm good.
And not even just the love. She would have been the queen,
Yeah.
but it's like she just hadn't considered that part about bearing the heir, and she just wasn't down for that.
But you know what? This was the part. Okay, Ashley points out Queen Charlotte got in her butt, got in her behind about not telling her about the issues. But you know what? I feel like there was not an opportunity. There was truly not an opportunity where she could have brought that up and not sounded like she was using the queen. So
Right.
I get why she didn't. And when that scene happened and she was like, if you didn't bring these problems to me because you thought it was something we could not handle, I'm like, there was really not a way she could have presented that without saying like, hey, I need you to do me a solid. Can you hook me up? Girl, I need you to hook me up. And it's like,
Well, but the
when
the
she hit her
reason
with
why
the
she was
friendship.
upset. No, but the reason why she was upset though was because she was the one who was basically counseling her and showing her how to be not just a woman in this society, but a black woman of kind of stature within that society. And so I think she was kind of the understanding of like, I'm not just trying to secure your personal like future, but like you came to me earlier and told me that like what I do reflects on the rest of us, the ones like us or one like us, or however they were dancing around it in the verbiage in the show.
Right.
So for you to like come to me with that before, but then here is something that we seriously have to consider, which is what happens when these people die. If I'm in a position to like we haven't thought about that, you should be bringing that to me so I can make sure the right people are thinking about it. And
Yeah.
I got both points of view, but I think it's part of that like you hear that a lot. Like I hear, when the Nepo baby versus I worked my butt off to get to where I am. It's like, yes, both things can be true. You worked your butt off to get where you are, but also somebody helped you get to the starting point that you started at for you to even be able to work your butt off. And, I think, especially I think in the black community, a lot of times, a lot of us feel like we got to get it out the mud and do it all on our own. And it's like, nobody else is doing that. So if you have,
Yeah.
I look at it like this: if you have friends in power, Colin, if I got you just got to do that because this way that's how everybody else
Right.
works, and they just make us feel like we gotta not do it that way.
Claw our way up. Yeah.
Right. Oh, she the queen now, so now she's just gonna help the black people. Okay, and
like that's the whole point. That's the great experiment, bro. How about that? That's the experiment.
It was like a catch. I'm sure she felt like, it was a catch-22 kind of situation though, because of the king's mother.
mm-hmm.
On the one hand, she could snatch the title back, and the queen's mother had her basically being a spy with them anyway. But then she actually she said at one point that she could go to the queen.
Yeah.
Just go straight to the queen. But then that's kind of, do I go to the queen, or she might find out that I'm a spy for the king's mother, and she was weighing her options, and she probably really didn't know if she and the queen were that close. It was just in that moment at the end when the queen was like, why didn't you come to me? Right then she realizes, oh, okay, I guess you really do consider me your friend or your confidant or whatever.
Yeah.
Plus, she was probably trying to avoid being in somebody else's pocket again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like she's talked about how she don't know what she likes. She never breathed her own air. And then the first thing you do is be like, yeah, but queen, can you help me? I'm a strong, independent woman, but I just need a little help getting off the ground first. It's like
if I could just get just a small loan of $1 million, something like that, just to get started. It's an initial investment.
Just to get started.
No, I'm very curious. As we were watching through the first episodes in season 1, now I haven't seen any of the episodes of season 2 yet. I've watched a few episodes of season 1, and I was trying to get the wife. I'm like, you got to watch this. So I thank you all because I'll be able to show her this and be like, nope, everybody said we got to watch season 1 because there's spoilers for season 2. If we watch season 2 first, it'll ruin it. So we got to watch season 1.
The actress Simone Ashley in season 2, for me, she's one of my favorite young actors right now. Yeah, she was in another Netflix show called Sex Education, which I also really, really enjoy.
And my son was watching that. He was very happy with that. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, she's pretty. Oh, she's going to be in Little Mermaid. She was a Sex Education. She was in Pokemon Detective Pikachu.
I don't remember her from that.
Right. I'm like, what did she do in that? Maybe she was she was a girlfriend to Justice Smith. I don't remember the girlfriend, but okay. It must have been like a scene as he was running away or something. I don't remember that portion at all. But
I don't remember a girlfriend either.
Right. Detective Pikachu? Like, okay.
Only girl I remember is Misty, right?
Well, in Detective Pikachu, Misty wasn't there.
But the girl who basically was Misty.
Yeah, right. I actually like this casting, both the older and younger versions of the Queen.
Oh yeah.
What face did we make? I didn't make a face.
Oh, she was just a random girlfriend, like in a scene in a bar.
Oh, okay, like somebody's girlfriend, not the character's girlfriend. Okay, because I'm like,
I think it was when like Detective Pikachu was like macking on her at the bar or something. He was like some random dude.
And somebody walks over and is like, "You talking to my girl?" Yeah. Gotcha. Then of course, Pika. Apparently, we made a face when we was talking. Was it a good face? Was it after I looked at her picture, or was it when I was trying to remember who she was? Anyway, we're not gonna focus on that. Yeah, I do like Lady Danbury. Both versions of Lady Danbury are very interesting characters. Obviously, I like the younger, just because we see that she is a Moorish princess, essentially, is what I gather she was saying. and she's a
Mhm.
warrior, and she's very cunning and very intelligent, and I like the way she moves. You know what I'm saying? Like she is so smart. I like the way she's written. She's written as a very, very intelligent character, and I
Mhm.
appreciate that. Um, I like that the queen is ignorant to certain things, but strong in her convictions and steadfast and intelligent enough to make changes when changes need to be made.
Mhm.
Um, I think she is also a very, very well written character. Um,
Mhm.
Brimley, I want better for Brimley, and they kind of broke my heart what they did with Brimley. Like they have to do that. That was unnecessary. Um, we didn't even have to explore that because if we're gonna do that, then we need to see that Brimley like did have a family and stuff. But no, he just spent his whole life dedicated to the queen. So it's like if you don't do something for that man at some point, and has he been your man for like 20 years or more, and you don't know if he got family?
Well, that's what he said. He said everybody has been in service to the queen. I serve you. That means
Right. I mean,
Right.
I get that he was saying there's no time for anybody else. Everybody else services the king. I'm in service to you. I get that part. But when she was like sitting there and she was like, wait, Brimley, do, do you have no family? Have you never married? This been your dude for all these years. You don't know that? That's not a good look.
She just hadn't thought about it, because if she had thought about it, she would have realized that he was five paces behind her his entire life,
I
basically.
get that.
but that's one of those things too where it's like
You
you
can't have an
realize
epiphany
that
20 years in. That's
no,
what I'm
but you
saying.
can. Like he's the one that groomed her to be like that, right? Like think about when she's trying to get an orange, and he's like orange, and she's like, okay, from now on I'll pick my own oranges, right? Like then the next day it's like them dudes is fired, and so
Right.
she's
Right.
like, okay, so the decisions that I make like have major ramifications if I get too involved in how these things work on a day-to-day basis, right? And you see,
Mhm.
like that's why I said like watching The Crown actually helped me like kind of understand some of that, especially for the queen, because you realize how set apart she is from people in the same, like we are in the same room, but you're not in the same room with the queen when you're like the
Right.
dude standing on the side. You're unfortunately basically furniture, art on the walls
Yeah.
until
Right. A
you are needed to
fixture.
like come and step into action. And so it is like you, in order to do that job well, you have to be someone who is fine fading into the shadows, doing the things that don't usually get done, or doing things before they get done. And you're so busy moving in the shadows, making her life comfortable, that like she's not going to have time to think about you. She's thinking about an entire country. So you know, part of him sadly doing a good job is the fact that like she never like she doesn't know anything about his personal life, because
Right.
you're not going to invite the queen to your wedding. You're not going to like this isn't a time where the men are
When are you
not.
even going to have time off to have a wedding? You service the queen. You're the queen's man. And I mean, and don't get me wrong. I get that part. It was just the fact that she didn't know after all
But
that
I think
time.
that
Like
was
you
a
know what I'm
lot
saying?
of it. It was like she had to have that realization when her kids had to have that tough conversation with her about,
Right.
she has one perception of how she was as a mother based on everything that she had going on, especially with their father at the time, and her basically having this basically, I'm guessing, step in and rule by
Right.
proxy.
Right. Like when she said, "Bring me Steph." Yeah,
Yeah.
that was funny. She was like, "Go over there, face away from me. I don't want to look at you." Yeah, I
It's
mean,
like,
like
come on,
she's
bro.
the
You know
queen, so
Brimley.
she can
It's
have an
like,
attitude whenever she
Brimley
wants.
ain't got no damn wife.
Well,
And you
I
have to be the fact that you didn't notice that after all them years, like, come on, bro. Then you just not.
I mean, that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, it's one thing to like not know; it's another thing to just be completely oblivious.
But
And
it's also like that's not a bad thing on her, because she's supposed to be that. Like the role and the position and how everything is catered to her is so that she has to live her life that way in order to be able to do the job that she needs to do.
I mean, I
And
definitely.
then it's like on top of that, if she wasn't taking care of like a husband who had like issues of his own, I'm sure she probably could
Exactly.
have.
She was basically running the kingdom the
Yeah.
whole time
Yeah.
because she was holding the husband, it like he's like a helium balloon and she's holding the string so he doesn't float away the whole time.
Off to Venus.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I
she
mean,
was
and I get that.
running the kingdom.
I get that.
That's no excuse for, not being a good mother or whatever, but she had a lot going on.
But I think it also is interesting because
we
it
just gonna
showed
call it
like
King Charlotte, right? That's it.
Right.
This is King Charlotte.
it was interesting too, though, because you kind of see like how far just being in that role takes you from your who you started off as. Like, I'm sure she
Yeah.
would have thought she would never be the kind of person who could have somebody work for them for like 40 years and not know
Right.
anything about their personal life.
Yeah.
But here we are, and
Right.
here's how the crown changes you. Not the actual physical crown, but just the institution. Like, it's not just the king just deciding everything. It's a room full of dudes all posturing behind people's back and having secret meetings before the real meetings. And, she had to step in and protect the kingdom by protecting him in that way. And unfortunately, like, her family and personal relationships were like the casualty of that. Because it's like, you dealing with all that. Of course, I'm going to be in a position too where I don't want to hear nothing nobody got to say unless you agree with me.
And I think
I just had to talk this dude down from Venus. I don't want to hear nothing.
Right.
I got time for all of that.
I think it was a masterful commentary on Black women from Shonda. I think I look back on the entire show, the entire season of Queen Charlotte, and see, I'm not a big Shonda Rhimes show person. I didn't watch Grey's Anatomy. I didn't watch what was that one with Olivia Pope or whatever? Scandal. I watched the first season of How to Get Away with Murder or whatever it was, but that got too confusing for me. So I'm not a big Shonda Land person, but I have so much more respect for her. Not that I didn't have respect for her before, but I have so much respect for her after having watched Queen Charlotte, because even if it wasn't meant to be, but I think it was a masterful commentary on the lives and the roles of Black women.
I think that was probably, like, we definitely got that information out of the Queen herself, but I think perhaps the best example for me was Lady Danbury. And it was like, I'm sitting there watching it, of course, with my wife, and it was just like, I was upset for her. And I was not that sad when Lord Danbury passed. I was like sad for her, and I hate the struggle.
Nobody was sad because he was gross, and she deserved so much better.
I mean, given that she was, for the times in the society, and I say this very carefully. It's a work of fiction based on some fact, and there were situations that were like that. There were arranged weddings and prearranged marriages and things like that. So all of that stuff exists. And when we heard her talk about it, she says, since when she was talking with what is Coral, I believe her name is. When she was talking with Coral, she was like, I've been getting prepared for this since I was 3. I was told what foods I like, what my favorite color is gold because his favorite color is gold. I have never breathed air that wasn't his. And it was like, I'm sitting there as a dude and I'm like, wow, that's a powerful statement. And like, oh my God, that's horrible. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I'm hearing that. And yeah, it even had me feeling some kind of way. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like when she got her independence and she it was like, I hate that it came at the potential loss of her title and she had to even go through that battle, because the only reason she was where she was because of the conversations she had, because of the moves she made. Lord Danbury didn't make none of that happen.
Mm-mm. But if you ask
Everything that
him,
happened, right? He was like, they finally see my work. No,
right, right,
no, they
you had
don't.
to ask him. It was all him. It was just the other people's fault because they didn't notice what a great man he was and all that kind of stuff. But right, she was in the background making moves the whole time.
So, and I recognize that part of it, and I definitely saw that. And it made me think of even like Tyler Perry bring me into the mix. Why Did I Get Married? Where Jill Scott
Mhm.
is she calls the ex to get the new husband, a new boyfriend, a job,
Yeah.
and it isn't a, like, he gets the job, everything's great, everybody's happy, and then it's later on he finds out how the job was acquired. Now he got a problem with it, and it's like, if it's able to be done without, air quote, without favors and stuff like that, if it's done on just the merit and the goodwill of that individual, like that counts for something. And it's like, I think a lot of times they don't, like, obviously women don't get the credit they deserve on that, and I do believe that it was very impressive to see Lady Danbury make the moves that she made and accomplish the things that she accomplished. I was
Facts.
very, very proud of her. And that, like I said, she might be my favorite character on the show. And the actress playing her brings all of the emotion, is very convincing, like very good in the role. Um, and Barry Bridgerton. Let me see here. Because I want to give the props. Who played Lady Danbury? Da, 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 da. Okay, so we have the older, and is that Arsema Thompson, Arsema Thomas, and Ajua Ando.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Arsema Thomas, like, I just want to go out and just watch stuff she's in. Like, she is just captivating on screen. Yes, that is an awesome. I'm not quiet. My husband was just very loud. Yes. Um, and it's like having a character like that. It would have been an entirely different show if we didn't have someone who, if we didn't have a Lady Danbury, this show changes. You know what I'm saying? If we just follow the story of the Queen, and it's like, just say it was Brimley that had these conversations and made this happen and this and that, we have an entirely different show now. If we don't have Miss
Right.
Thomas here, like, we end up missing so much in terms of like character development and just story in general. Because, like, they could do an entirely separate spin-off series, a Bridgerton story, just covering Lady Danbury. I mean, we have a lot of Lady Danbury story in Queen Charlotte, but I
What
feel
I
like
think will be, oh, go ahead. I was
I,
saying
I
what I think is going to be interesting from your perspective is, Lady Danbury now. And so it's like when she comes into the show, she is like somewhat of this like mysterious figure because she's like moving and shaking. It's like, the queen, but you don't got no husband, and you got money, and you got
Right,
kids, but they ain't around. Like, who are you? And now you got this like random, like good looking nephew coming into town to marry this daughter. But like you like have the answers to a lot of those questions now. So
right.
I would be curious from your perspective, Sam, like as you watch it moving forward, like what your impression of Lady Danbury is versus people who watched like 1, 2, then Queen Charlotte, because I thought she was like a super cool character, had a lot of mystery. I like that she was the one when people was messing up. She's the one that's gonna get you together. She got a scene like that in each season, I think, with her nephew, and then in season 2, her and like Simone Ashley get into it, and she like you when you think she against the ropes. Nah, she ain't never lost no argument, except
And
for
from
that one white lady in Queen Charlotte when she started crying. That's it. That's the last time she let somebody get the best of her in the argument.
And even then, I don't even feel like she lost that argument. I feel like
Nah, somebody say stop crying, you lost. That's that's just the rules.
okay, yeah,
but
that's
I
fair.
think
That's
I
fair.
felt like that was even a commentary. I felt like that was very, very deliberate on the part of Shonda Rhimes
Oh yeah,
because
That was a commentary
and
on strong black woman. That's what that was to me.
that, and I thought it was kind of the reverse of what happens in real life.
yep.
The black woman broke down, and she started crying, and the white woman was like, oh no, you don't cry, stop your crying or whatever. But what is it that we've come to expect it from real life but the white tears? So I feel
You
like
see,
that was a very deliberate commentary at that moment, and that's
I
part of
saw
the
it as like
overall experience for me.
you don't get to use that. Like we can do it, I can do it. Like if I need
Right,
to, and then it's
right.
versus that I
You
live
don't
in
get
it.
to do
But
that. Yeah.
you don't get to do that. No one will
Hmm.
respect that. No one will respond to that. No one is going to like treat that the way that they treat it when we do it. Whether that's true or not, like it has become true, but that could also just be a thing of like, are we really in this together as women? Like we two women trying to like secure our what's best for our family, and a tactic that I've seen employed by your kind. When I go there, it's like no, 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 no. That's not how this is done. So yeah, I definitely felt like that back and forth between her and I mean, she was basically like a allegory for like white women in general. It's like you have quote unquote good intentions. You are capable and have the capacity to love. Because I wouldn't say you don't love your son, but the way you show that is like very, very different. And your relationships with the black women is, one way. Your relationship with, even though like the men in the movie have their thumb on your neck the entire time. It's like you're under pressure by all this group of white men who come in and try to tell you what to do. But rather than like turn around and like try to help someone else, you apply that same pressure to others.
Right.
And so what is it? Are you one of them or are you one of us? And that's even kind of the question they asked, like that they were really asking Queen Charlotte, like, okay, you married this king. What does that mean for our lordships and all that other stuff? Are you one of them or are you one of us? And the question that rages on probably till the end of time.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say the only and I won't say that as a correction. I felt that when we saw the princess embrace the king at one point where he had that initial breakdown, where the young King George is like screaming at mother, and actually you have Queen Charlotte just outside. I want to say she's like going to invite him to breakfast or something like that, and then right after that, he has a conversation with his mother. He's like kind of snapping. He has the full breakdown, and his mom like catches him in her arms, and she just like kind of embraces him. You see, at the end of the day, that's still her son. You know what I'm saying? And it's like she has to remain as strong as she needs to be, but he's the king, so there's only so much room for weakness and frailty and sympathy and emotion. Like you the king. I don't care. Feel how you want to feel, but you the king. So do right, get good. And there was a lot of that going on, and I think that was kind of like when she was having the conversation with Agatha. In a sense, that's kind of what she was saying. Ashley had it up right here. She was like, endure. Like you're a woman, I'm a woman. I'm female. I don't remember names. Like she's saying, like you're only going to get a certain amount of, like, you know what? You're a woman. You're not going to get respect. So don't come here looking for respect. Don't come here looking for sympathy. If you want something, you have to go out there. You have to get it. You have to make it happen. So far, you have done that. Don't quit now. I need you to suck it up, have you a shot, fix your face, and let's get back to doing what we do as powerful women. You're the only person around here that I respect. And if you cop out, then what? What do I have left? And like I said, just the moment they have that conversation, that engagement, it was one of those moments like, and Jeff, you're right. Like if somebody say stop crying, you lost. She lost. She had that moment. She slipped, but she regained her composure. And from there forward, you know what I'm saying? By the end of the series, we do see that, like, okay, cool. She now knows she can go to the Queen. She can secure her title. That's how she's going to remain Lady Danbury. That's what's up. Okay, yay. I'm happy. And so I look forward to, I will probably have season 1 finished by the weekend because I look forward to this. I'm enjoying this series. I'm enjoying this show. I want to watch it, and I want it'll be a lot easier to be able to get the wife to sit down and watch. She's having a little bit of a transition at the job. Yay! So she's home more. That frees up a little time for us to sit and catch up on some of this stuff. So,
just you. And that I thought so much. She's
having
a little bit of transition.
We got some feedback there. I hear myself, Teresa. I hear myself.
Sorry, I had to mute. What did you say?
No. I was hearing myself in your speaker.
That's why I had to mute.
Oh, okay. No, I was just saying that, like, I'm definitely looking forward to finishing up the season. I'll probably have it finished by the weekend. It is fantastic. Wife's having a small transition. She's actually like working from home a lot more now, so it's not as difficult to get to those episodes. She's not having to get up as early every day. But I will let her know. I'll be like, nope. We talked about it, and the collective said you have to watch season 1 first. So
yes,
we're gonna go through season 1, and then she'll have the nice surprise of season 2, and we'll get to enjoy some of that stuff. And so,
yeah, season 2 will still be there.
I mean, and that's good. Honestly, that's good. If season 1, if it's something I can enjoy and get through, and that gives me something to look forward to, knowing that the next season is better. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm definitely one of those, give me the bad news first and then cheer me up. Don't let me be all happy and then you make it bad. Like, because if you're not happy enough to stay with it, like, just know you can always cheer me up. So let's do that. And I can look forward to season 2 and things just get better. So that's it. Are there any closing thoughts regarding any other streaming services? Anything else we need to add to the list to watch? Anything that Teresa, anything you've been watching that needs to be added to the list?
I feel like I've been crying since Saturday.
Oh wow.
I watched. What did I finished something. Was it Queen Charlotte? I think it was Queen Charlotte. I finished Saturday or early Sunday, and then the last episode was pretty gut wrenching for me. So I cried over that.
Yeah.
And then for some reason I decided to watch A Man Called Otto, or A Man Named Otto, or whatever. And that boy, I was dehydrated by the end of that one.
Really?
Yes,
okay.
It was really good, but you need a fresh box of tissues.
Okay.
My grandmother said she watched that, and she was like, I did not like it, but maybe that's why she's not a very emotional person. So
I'm very emotional.
I got really soft in my older age. I will say that. Like I I'm not gonna
Yeah,
say I
it's a
have difficulty
Publix
watching
commercial.
stuff. But
That Publix
Oh.
Mother's Day commercial.
I can't watch around Christmas. No, I
Yeah.
can't watch Publix commercials or Hallmark commercials around the holidays.
That's what we should do, Sam, for holidays. Commercials, top 10 commercials that make you cry.
And now
Or for a random one.
Amazon is bad about those tearjerker commercials too around the holidays.
Let's see. DJ Fatsack says we need to be checking out Power. I will. You know what? I hear so much about it. I guess eventually I get around to it.
I
Power.
won't
My
be doing
issue with
that.
Power. My issue with Power and Snowfall, and there's probably one or two others like that. I think what is another one? I think is like BMF or something like that.
Yep.
I've seen those. I grew up on those, and I would much rather watch something like a Bridgerton, where there's something different. That's just me, though. Doesn't make those shows bad. Doesn't mean they're no good. I've seen a lot of those shows over the years, and it's nice when I don't see shows like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like Bridgerton is something different. It is something unique in its viewing.
So I've been watching Legend of Korra. Finally just decided to go back and watch through that. So I
Okay.
finished the first 3 seasons of that. Some interesting things that I didn't really remember or put together when I first watched it. And then I started watching that Apple TV show, Silo.
I've heard
I
about that.
almost started that, and then I saw somebody talk about. They said something about how crazy the first episode was, and
It's weird. Yeah, it's weird and it's slow, but it's interesting. I'm curious. I'm just curious to see like what is this story that they're actually telling. And then I actually
that's on
started
my
watching
list.
Miss Davis also.
Ooh, let me know when
So
you finish
probably
Miss
like-
Davis.
Yeah,
I'm
probably
on the
like
last
halfway through Miss
episode.
Davis.
I'm on the
I
last
think I'm on, like,
episode.
Yeah, it's that's an interesting show.
Very
Like
interesting show.
stylistically. And then I don't know if I mentioned this before. I found this older show. It's on Amazon. It's a British show called Time Wasters.
Time
It's about
wasters.
Yeah, it's a comedy about these 4 black kids who are in a jazz quartet band, and then they get on this like magical elevator and get transported like back in time. And so they're just like it's like black time travel, but a comedy aspect of it. If you like British comedy stuff, like
It's a
pretty
free
good.
V original.
Yeah.
I'll check that out.
And then I plan on getting back into My Hero soon. Season 3, episode 1 is where I'm at on that. So,
Okay. Yeah,
I think it's like they just did the like race to see who's gonna get to go to like the summer camp thing, and then they reveal everybody's gonna get to go to the camp after they fought the teachers.
Right. Couple of good fights in that. I like
The little mouse dude.
Yeah. No, actually, I was gonna say the Frog Girl Froppy, like their plan was like she doesn't get as much highlight as I felt like she should have, but she's a really good character, and the person she was teamed up with, there was an option there. So yeah, that one's definitely get through My Hero. I got current on Demon Slayer. I'm watching through with Celeste. We were watching through Psych again. Like I've watched Psych. She's watching through Psych for the first time. And she is, let's see, what episode? She was watching that earlier, so I have to let's see my stuff. It's on here somewhere. I want to say we might be like in season 3. No, season
Psych.
4. Season 4. We're in season 4, episode 14. So watching that with her. We've got 1 episode left of Miss Davis. We would have actually finished that episode of Miss Davis, but we got sidebarred with Bridgerton and Queen Charlotte, and so it's like
When you get done with Miss Davis, you got to watch Poker Face.
already on the list, and I've been trying to get her to start it, but we keep having all these other shows pop up, and I'm like, when are we gonna watch Poker Face? I'm gonna end up watching it without her, and then she'll be mad and be like, "Well, I told you to mom." So had all the time. That'll
I was
probably
gonna
Somehow,
say it's the kind of show where if you just put it on in the background, like if you're like watching it and she's like not really watching it, she's gonna get sucked into it because of the way it's shot and written. It's like a very, very good show.
Okay, Ashley is saying, "All hail the great uniter." Got to check that out.
somehow in the midst of all my tears, I started watching From.
What's that? From?
Yeah, it's
From yeah.
It's horror. And the
Oh.
first season is on Amazon. It's pretty good. Crazy.
Oh, what else I'm watching? Rise of the Pink Ladies, the Grease prequel.
That's actually on my list.
I'm gonna say this. It's good. All them people that was arguing with me on the Paramount Plus official Instagram page, but they're feeling pretty stupid now.
There you go.
Like there's only one thing that they handle. They only have one like race thing that they handle weird, but everything else in terms of just like the storytelling, the Easter eggs to the like original movie, where they do it but they don't overdo it. I think a lot of the songs are really good. The choreography strong. Like they get into kind of some more surrealist set pieces during the songs. So it's good. And I think it's just like, it's one of those things where it's like, I think kind of how Queen Charlotte was like this very interesting allegory for like Black women. I think, Pink Ladies is really, I just been really interested in stuff where you really can see a decided difference between like people who want things to go one way and people who want things to go another way, and how people who would like for things to progress have been up against it like forever. And a lot of these conversations and fights that we have are not new, and a lot of the tools that we can use to fight against them are not hidden. Tell stories, use our art, use our voices, and stand up for what we want and how we want our society to be. And I think that's like just a very good story. Like a lot of the internal conflict of the characters, which you see a lot in the original Grease, mostly was just Danny and Sandy, but you start seeing like that's all the characters are kind of going through stuff, and you see, all their personalities and what would make, girls want to have a gang and all that stuff like that. So I definitely recommend it for people who like musicals or people who like the original Grease. If you don't like musicals, we could do a whole episode where I can explain to people why they're wrong about not liking musicals. But
you know what? We might highlight. I will make a list of the musicals I've watched, and you know what? We might even cover and discuss, because we've kind of touched on it before. We'll cover and discuss what qualifies it for a musical versus a movie with music in it.
Right.
I'll give you a full form breakdown. That's a damn good idea. That sounds like a show. You know what? Because we got our music episode coming up.
Next
there we
week.
go.
I don't have a problem with musicals, but I have a problem with musical episodes of shows that are not generally musical.
You didn't like Psych the Musical? I'm just telling her about that coming up.
I probably didn't watch it. I know there was an episode of The Flash that was a musical that I did not watch it.
Yeah, that just
there's my thing about musicals, and I'm probably gonna reiterate this when we do the episode. If you can't sing and you can't dance, shouldn't be in a musical. So the episodes that have the shows that do that kind of stuff well are the ones where people can actually sing and dance. But if you can't sing and dance, I don't want like Broadway burly man voice like singing. I feel like everybody's doing it now. Just everybody started doing it because of the Buffy episode, which was good. But like most of them can like sing and dance, and a lot of those actors came from like theater and like Broadway, and then went to TV.
Definitely makes a difference.
Don't even get me started on La La Land. That shit sounded like it was their first time singing.
Wow.
Just make your notes, and we will cover it. We can talk about the good, the bad, the ugly musicals next week's special. You know what? La La Land is going to be the thumbnail for next week's episode. That will be out. You know what? I'm putting them on there. I don't know how, but I'm gonna put La La Land. I'll probably put a bunch of posters. I'll do that then. But
put them losing the Oscar.
There you go. Oh yeah, put Moonlight right there at the same time. That would work. Okay, well I think we have our next one. Oh yeah, that one did just come out. Matilda the musical. That is that was on Netflix, right?
I actually liked that.
Yeah, I think that one was on.
I didn't have a problem with that.
So we'll definitely check that out. I will probably check out From just because Harold Perrineau is in it.
Yeah.
And I've always liked him in everything he's been in. So him as Mercutio in Romeo and Juliet. I was just talking about that. It was just it was awesome.
Did you watch Claws?
My daughter watched Claws. That was her thing. I did watch Oz though. I watched Oz, and of course the Best Man. And was it The Best Man? Yeah, The Best Man. And I was so happy for him at the end of the movie, Best Man. You know what I'm saying? Like anybody deserved it. But yeah, I mean, he was in King of New York. I think everything I've seen where he's been in it, I enjoyed. So there's other stuff where he was, he was in The Matrix, and I like Harold Perrineau. So I would check it out just because he is in it, and that would be enough to make me check it out. But I have to look to see if he's been in any musicals. Because if he hasn't been in any musicals, it'll be a moment before I check out some stuff, because I got to get around to any other musicals that I might not have caught up on. I have to go through a list and find out what I did watch that counts as a musical. Or I'm going to make my list of musicals that I've watched, and Jeff can let me know if they are musicals or just movies with music in it. And then because I'll be like,
no, it's not a musical.
Was it? Yeah, Brown Sugar. The whole thing was set around the hip hop record deal and all of that. So I mean, how was that not a musical?
It wasn't a musical.
I know. But that would. I mean, it'll definitely make for a good show. So next week musical. Also, side note, MomoCon is next week. So anybody who doesn't have plans, I want to say Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays. Actually, I think Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, MomoCon. I will see if I can get David and Linda. I may actually try to get by one day and just do some live footage while I'm there and show you all the cool stuff that happens down at MomoCon. Because Linda and David will be there. They are big deals down there. Linda's an assistant director for MomoCon, so go check her out and go see her down there and get some video and try to do that. And that'll be great. So this has been fun. I look forward to coming back and being able to report more on my Bridgerton experience. I'm sorry it took me so long to watch it, Jeff. If I had known, I would have you got to fight hard. You got to
Man, I'm not going.
I will do better. I will do better. Look, I will do better, but I need you to just emphasize, okay? Because that's the thing. You were like that with everything. You're like, oh yeah, you should watch this. You should check this out. You have the same attitude about stuff that is fantastic versus stuff that is good. So I can never tell how serious it is. You know what I'm saying? If it's
I either recommend it or I don't.
Okay, so that, you know what? And now that I understand that, I will take that. If you recommend it, then it's actually fantastic. If it's you can watch it if you want, but you're not recommending it, I'll just read between the lines on that. But anytime you say you should watch this, then that's a recommendation, and I'm gonna run with that. So I got it. No more mistakes in the future, sir. My apologies. I appreciate it. I've been enjoying this Bridgerton show. I'm mad because I wanted Denisha to get on here and talk to Bridgerton with me because I know she was the other
She
person.
don't love us.
Right. She was the other one that was telling me to like I should watch it. I would like it. And I was like, okay, fine. And even then I still didn't watch it. Wasn't until my dad was like trying to watch an episode. I'm like, wait, what is this? Queen Charlotte, a Bridgerton series. What? And then I couldn't turn that off. And for like 6 hours, I was just like, yep, we finishing this. So obviously that was good and I've enjoyed it. Teresa, any last minute recommendations? Anything that you just I gotta check out? From you said, and what was the other one you watched? Man from Otto.
Yeah.
So
Man
I will
called or named Otto.
a man named Otto. Oh, that's the Tom Hanks where he's the
Yeah.
meanie,
Yeah.
the meanie neighbor guy. Okay, cool.
It wasn't really mean though.
I'm sure they'll break it down in the movie, right?
No, what was funny was I really related to him. So I was like,
wow.
maybe I'm grumpy. But I am. I know I am. So that's why I related to.
Well, see, there you go. Then there you go. As I get older, I get grumpier. I do. It's coming. I can see it. I'm gonna be the get off my lawn, shaking my fist guy.
Oh, definitely. I've already done that.
I will absolutely, because I see the kids that, like when my camera dings, there's like person spotted, like who's spotted about what are you doing? Get out my yard, like I'm that guy. So I absolutely get it. Ashley recommends, I think, All Hail the Great Uniter. DJ Fat Snacks, he's rewatching My Name is Earl. That was a funny show when I watched that. That was that was a funny show. I don't think I watched all of it, but every time I caught an episode, I did enjoy it. But that is going to do it for tonight. That has been our show. I'm so happy we got a chance to like kind of deep dive and talk about all things Bridgerton, specifically Queen Charlotte, which I highly recommend. I am recommending that. I believe Jeff recommends that as well.
I recommend it as well.
Oh, okay. Let's see. So she is All Hail the Great Unite. Oh, that's from Legend of Korra. So she is quoting Legend of Korra. Look. See, Ash, look at that. Props, major props. So Jeff is actually watching Legend of Korra right now. And did you just rewatch? You're through a couple of seasons, about to finish up. So Ashley chiming in with the Legend of Korra. That's what's up. I think this is definitely a check it out. Bridgerton seems like it's going to be a fantastic series. What I've seen so far, I've liked. And I plan on checking out all of it, enjoying more. But that's going to do it for tonight. Be sure to click that QR code there in the corner. That'll take you to everywhere you can find us. Check out all our socials. Make sure to like and subscribe so you can find out every time we go live. You can usually find us on Wednesdays for this episode, Weigh In Wednesday. We have a couple of themed episodes. We have a great time. And otherwise, we're just having fun discussions like this. For Teresa, Jeffrey, and myself, we are Grown A Geeks, and we are out of here. Peace.